Alright, so what I've done here, I try to get the needle nose pliers in here just enough to spread it out like so. I'll be able to get a pick in between the clip and those little notches there and pull it out like so. I was able to pull it out like this and then able to stick one up under it. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to walk it all the way around. You want to be careful because you don't want to bend this clip, but also when it gets close you may want to put your hand over it so it doesn't pop out on you and either poking you in the eye or break the skin or fly across the room and lose it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this done and then back onto these. So alright, so got my screwdriver in here. It's just about the width of that roll pin. And you see how it's starting to come out the back side. And I can just punch this all the way through. Just either be ready to catch it or just let it drop down. Just make sure you don't lose it. And as you see, I've gotten this piece off right here. There's a little ball bearing right here. So you have to be careful not to lose it. It should just be one. You have a little hole here or a hole here. Just when you take yours off, just look, just in case you happen to have two. All this does is hold the shaft in. It goes out through the other side of the transmission to your transfer case. So anyway, and as you see here, what I'm doing here, as I'm working on it and I'm taking stuff apart, this is my Viscous. Then I'm going to put this gear and then this gear beside it in the order that I take them off, so that way it helps me keep from mixing stuff up. And be careful when you take this part off. I like to get the roll pin out, get this nut off, try and take the whole assembly off as a whole if I'm able to. It's got these little pieces in here that are held on with a clip. They may pop out, not a big deal. It's got a little clip right here. You just put it back together when it's time. It holds them in. I'll show you that more here in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and get this roll pin out and then get the rest of it taken care of. So. Alright, so I got the pieces off. I got my roll pin, 5th gear assembly here. These 2 gears for the 5th gear. And my Viscous. One thing I meant to mention, this is my synchro here. If you see how it's got the little notches in there on each side, when it goes in, we'll be able to line it up with these 3 pieces here, so you don't have any problems there. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once here. Anyway, so I got the pieces off. Be careful here. Now, you got this piece right here is a little cage with the little roller bearings in them. Make sure those stay nice and clean. Keeping that with the assembly here. I'll go back and look at all those, clean those up later. I'm just going to make mention that I'm no transmission expert by any means. I've just torn these apart a few times here and there. So I know how to do that part. Some problems might be obvious. See, like for example, the wear here, wearing into the aluminum. I'm not really going over the problems or issues with the transmission for the purpose of this video. I'm just trying to show you guys how to take the crap apart and put it back together. So, but anyway, aside from that, the next piece we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to take this part off right here. It's a different housing. This part just pops off of it, and you'll see where it's got the crease here where there's some silicone put around it. And before you can do that, of course, I've also already loosened these up. And each one of these, you got the little nut, and you'll have the spring. And if you can see it, you'll have a little ball inside of each one of them. Sometimes they're a little pain to get out. I like to use a magnet, and they're not always that simple to get out. So you may have to do what you can do to get those suckers out. But and keep all those pieces separate, or all together, but separate from all the other stuff, so you don't lose them. And then you're also going to have to take this piece right here. I've already loosened it up. This is just the reverse sending unit that your plug goes on to. This part will have to come off. You don't want to over tighten this one too much. It's got a washer there, and it's got a little ball there. I've heard of people having shifting issues because it's too tight. I've never experienced it personally, but I mean, I would like to get it tight, but not insanely tight. Let's see, I've got my handy dandy magnet over here. Let's see if I can get these balls out and show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, that that was not wanting to be easy to come out. So it did on the other transmission I took apart. Oh, there we go. This one might be a little bit of fun. I'm gonna have to work on this one. Some of the stuff you're gonna see me taking apart, and you're gonna be cussing me because it looks so easy, but I've been doing it a while, and not everything is easy. Hopefully everything will go well for this one though. I hate running into problems, but anyway, those are really the only pieces to get this housing off, and you'll need to knock this part off with or the end piece with the rubber mallet or something. Definitely don't want to go use like a ball peen or something. Be messing up the aluminum casings here. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this part off. Being careful when I slide it up. You want to slide it straight up. You don't want to mess up your shift rails. These are 3 shift rails here, and then this piece right here, which carries oil. Once it gets slung up on top of this piece, you got gear oil that comes across and drops down. So don't want to break that. That's very important. So but it is, with as old as these things are, it might be brittle, so be careful with it. I'm going to go ahead and finish up getting this part off, and then I'll show you the rest. Alright, so I managed to get that housing off. Excuse my Whataburger cup, moving that out of the way. But anyway, this is the piece we just took off. I've got it flipped upside down. When you take it off, make sure, take a peek at these pieces right here. They can sometimes slide out, and they'll remain with your bearings here. They have little shims up underneath them, something like this right here, which is what you need for the thickness. So be careful to make sure that if these come off right here and stay on the assembly here, make sure that they're still in here, or make sure that you don't lose them. It's very important. You don't want those to be out of spec and all your gears be loose and do damage to your gears because you don't have those in there. So but anyway, managed to get that piece off. I couldn't get the ball bearing out, so it just remained in it. After I got it out, I just tapped it out from the inside. But at this point, now we can just get this is the center diff, and this is a 4-spider diff here. Okay, sorry, trying to keep it on focus. Just sit that there. Now there was a little bearing. That may be it right there. I'll have to take a look. That's that little bearing that we had inside. I believe it fell from in here and went down inside and just landed right here. So this is a very important piece. If you don't have this little bitty ball bearing, you don't have that little bitty ball bearing, then your shaft here that goes to your transfer case can just come straight out the other side. And if you happen to be carrying your transmission around and it's not secure, you drop it, it'll come out and hit the ground and damage it up. So you gotta be careful with that. So anyway, now we just got to get this piece of the casing off, and for that we're going to do the remainder of the bolts going around all the way around here. We have to take, well, don't have to, but I like to take this piece off right here because it's got a bolt up under it, under there if you can see it. But it's easier to get off if you take that piece off. And then also too, this bolt right here for the reverse idler has to come off, and I'll show you where that goes on this one. It's just this piece right here, and the reason why you want one that's kind of pointy at the end of the bolt is because if this moves during assembly, you can help when the bolt goes in, because you won't be able to see this piece right here. It can help line it up. If you get it close, you can help line it up with that bolt when it goes in there and thread it in. Okay, so that's why I like to use one with a kind of a pointy end on the bolt for the bell housing versus the Torx bit, among other reasons, stripping it out. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take all these bolts out now, take this piece off, the bolt for the reverse idler, and then go ahead and get this casing off, and then you'll see the rest. Now you got to be careful, this piece right here hooks into this housing, so you have to be careful when you take this off, so not to damage it. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the rest off of that. I'm sure y'all don't want to watch me just taking out bolts, but anyway, I'll get that done and be right back. Alright, I'd already taken this piece off right here prior to making this section of the video, only because the diff right here got stuck up under up under here, and I had to pull the whole assembly up, and it was giving me a fit. I had to take a pry bar and pry it loose. So, but anyway, one thing I did forget to mention on the last section was all this stuff you're taking off, the reverse gear idler bolt and all that. This part right here has to come out as well. One of the parts you want to maybe take off. Now I don't know if it'll keep the casing from coming up or not, but I'll go ahead and take that part off. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if we can get this off. Sorry, I'm doing it one-handed again. I'm gonna have to go ahead and stop the video, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and get it off because it's hard to do it one-handed. So, all right, so got the outer casing off of it, and this is what we're looking at. The diff right here goes down in here. This is the shaft that goes to your transfer case. This piece can actually, if I can get it apart, it's fun doing this stuff one-handed. Anyway, okay. This piece that goes in the middle, set this one right here, and now we can take our shaft here out of here. Okay, so it doesn't take up a lot of room for all the parts here aside from maybe the gear clusters, but I'm not changing these out. These are the stock gears for the car, and these are upgraded. These haven't even been used yet with the third gear. Or not third gear, I forget how many it has, but it's the double synchros, new shift fork, and if you'll notice, this one's a little bit different, which confused me a little bit because I thought I had to go over the other way and down here, as opposed to the stock unit over here, which goes across to all three. So that confused me a little bit when I had ordered it and I had to put it together. So it had me taking a little while to figure that out. But anyway. This is the piece I have to change out. I'm not sure if this piece right here has to be changed along with it or not, but I'm going to look at it, count the teeth, because it's the different gear ratios is what the problem is. You have to make sure they match for the transfer case you have. If you notice on this one right here, what I did, I counted every 10th tooth and marked it with a paint pen so I could keep track as I'm going around in case I lost track of where I was at, and finally got all the way back around, and that's how many I have on that one. I believe this one has 58. I'm going to be checking that one, and again, of course, I got my shim right here, so you got to be careful not to lose those. And then on the bottom half, it's got the gear right here, which syncs up to your speedometer gear, which tells how fast you're going on your gauges, obviously. So. But anywho, I had that bolt around here somewhere. I may need to look for it real quick. I'll come back and I'll show it to you as soon as oh, here it is. Never mind. I don't have to come back. This is the bolt that I keep harping on. As you see, as it goes in to here, you can see how it's not flat on the end. It'll help you center it up once you get it going in there. So it's a very useful bolt to have to go in there to replace the one with the Torx bit. It's one I just kind of figured out on my own. I just didn't like the design of the Torx bit, so I just decided to see if I could find something to compromise, because it's the same bolt or thread pattern as the bell housing bolts. So, and I just had some extra bolts laying around and it worked. So anyway, I'm gonna probably won't be changing out the clusters here. Those will be the same. I'll just go over it real quick, just a little bit. Now, I've seen another video someone made where they took this whole shaft out here to get all these rails out. I've always just knocked out the roll pins, and one there, and I think there's one over here, one that goes to the reverse idler as well, I believe. So I don't think this is a roll pin that goes in there, but as you see, yeah, this is just the shift rail here for the fifth and reverse, right down here. When you move the shift rail back and forth with your gear selector, it just engages right here, moves this up or down to engage reverse. So, but anyway, a little finagling getting these out of here once you got the rails off. the forks off and so on. I'm not going that in depth, so I apologize, I'm not going that part of it, but I've got a majority of the breakdown here. Next part for me is just assembling it all back together and on the other part, or on the other side of it, so I can get it back together. And this one's been sitting up in, I guess outside for a little while. It didn't have the speedometer gear, so it got a little bit of dirt down in there, so I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit before I assemble it. But anyway, that's really it for now. If I can think of anything else, I'll post back to finish up. So. All right, a couple of things I was thinking about that I didn't really touch on is this part right down here. This is the magnet, and I'm gonna make sure you pull this out anytime you're pulling transmission apart. Make sure this part's all cleaned off, which I've already done when I put this transmission together originally. If I didn't mention already before, I put this together for a buddy of mine, and he ended up giving it to me because he was getting out of the DSM scene. But anyway, clean that off, put that in there. You'll see where this one right here is all the gear oil up in it, and that's where all that will collect. And then again, as far as the little plastic piece that catches all the oil, I'm putting it back together because I'm putting it in upside down. You can see where these little teeth right here catch on to this part right here. So you got it flipped over, it's gonna be sticking out the top, and when you go put it back on there, you kind of have to hold this piece as you, right here, as you lay it down in there, make sure it doesn't pop off. So that could be a pain. But aside from that, make sure you have the surfaces clean. Plenty of silicone. I use the gray silicone. I don't know what other people use, but it works for me, other than this last time. But I don't know if it was even the casings that was giving me the problem where they went together. But aside from that, installation is basically the opposite of the disassembly, aside from the clutches, which I really didn't touch on. But this one right here is the input. This one goes to your clutch, and it drives this gear here, which will drive this one when this one is engaged and I have everything assembled, and then which drives this piece right here, which drives the speedometer and also the axles that go in and out. And on the other side of this one right here, it goes to your transfer case. So just in case you're wondering, it's not too hard. It's a little bit scary. A lot of people scared to break apart a transmission. These aren't real bad once you take it apart. I was just left with the situation where I've broken one of these rails down here on the bottom end. It's kind of like this right here where it goes up or down, and it catches this piece right here. And the bottom half of it broke. This section broke, and I pushed it down, but I couldn't get it to pull back up. So stuck in third gear all the way home from the racetrack. So it's either pay a lot of money to let somebody else do it, or take the chance and figure it out on my own. And I just laid it down in a nice neat order, trying to figure it out. Once I opened it up, I was, oh, this ain't bad at all. So, but of course, then again, just remember, I'm not an expert by any means whatsoever. Don't even want to give off that impression that I am. I've just, basically torn them apart. And if you ever do a third or a double synchros, you have to take your clusters to a transmission shop. If you're not having the company that builds it for you, they have to take off the old stuff and press the other stuff on. So just keep that in mind. It's not something you're probably going to be wanting to do at home. Aside from that, that's basically it. If you got any questions, y'all know how to holler at me. I'm going to get this sucker back together because I'm burning time and I got to get ready for the track. But anyway, y'all have a good one. All right, bye. All right, so this is day 2 of transmission work. I kind of threw in the towel a little bit early yesterday. Well, not early. I spent the good part of the day, but it was hot. So anyway, I've had some requests on Facebook yesterday because I'm showing how to basically take some of this apart. Some people want to know how to put it together. So this is the deal, what I'm going to do. I've got this transmission here, which came out of the car, the stock gear, stock synchros, and so on. This is the one that's going to be going in. So what I'm going to do, because I'm on a deadline, I have to get the sucker back together in the car, ready for the races on the 25th. So what I'm going to do, put this one together, and then after it's all up and running, I will finish tearing this one down so you can see the rest of the teardown process. Then I will put it all back together, and I'll have that on video. It might be a little bit more difficult because I may need some assistance with video footage, being that part will be a little bit more difficult doing it one-handed and trying to show you exactly what to do. So I'll figure something out there, but just finishing this up, just letting you guys know what I'm doing there. Also, one other thing I want to mention is that, yes, I know the outsides of these casings are a little bit dirty. I'm personally not really too concerned about with the dirt being on the outside. Of course, I do want to clean it up a little bit. Main thing you want to be sure of is that the insides and all the parts are clean. You don't want any dirt up in there, which should be pretty obvious there. Outside, I don't really care so much. If I was spending, 3 or 4 grand on a transmission where I was getting it from a shop, I would expect it to be sparkly clean. Not so much the case when I'm doing it on my own, which I'm sure most of you are probably in the same boat as I am, as far as that's concerned. I mean, there are this few that, do want everything top notch. Not to say I don't want it top notch. I just don't have the time to take it all apart and wash it all down and get everything cleaned on the outside. But anyway, and one other thing I wanted to mention, I was reviewing some of my videos last night. I think in one of my videos I called this a viscous coupling eliminator. This is not the eliminator. The eliminator part, and you can, well, I used to have one, basically locks these gears together on the center diff. If you've got a welded one, you don't have to really worry about the eliminator so much. It just basically locks this gear and this part right here together so they can't move. Kind of puts you in a 4x4 mode 100% of the time. If you're locking these together though, it's probably better for like dyno, something like that, or at least an upgraded center diff. It puts a lot of stress on the center diff, especially when you have a 2-spider diff. So, but anyway, not really the purpose of this video. Anyway, I just want to clarify that, I did call that a viscous coupling eliminator. That's not what I meant to call it. But, and also too, another thing I was thinking of as well, is that these are the pennies I used to lock those gears in place to keep them from moving. I just want to mention that when you're trying to put them in between the gears, like so, you're not necessarily trying to cram them down in there. Just trying to get it in there just enough to keep the gears from spinning. So I just wanted to note on that as far as that's concerned. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up so I can get it uploaded, get it up on YouTube. Just stay tuned. I'll try and get another video here soon. And it'll be of the, like I said, this one will be torn down the rest of the way and then put it all back together. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and y'all stay tuned for the next one. All right, have a good one.